Coming up on the program, I'm going to show you how to plant cucumbers in the ground, and this will also work in a container, and you can get a second crop this year. And we'll plant some summer squash in our newly constructed raised front yard bed. All that and more coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener is sponsored in part by, for all your non-GMO, heirloom, organic, vegetable, flowers, and herb seeds, visit dollarseed.com. Sioux Growing Supply, located in Wausau, Wisconsin, focusing on certified leaf compost, an excellent amendment for poor soil. With their new garden blend, improving soil structure in clay and sandy soil, great for creating new garden beds. Also available from Sioux's, pre-filled trays and pots with professional potting soil mix or organic rice hull-based potting soil mix. Bag and bulk of certified leaf compost also available. Visit SiouxGrowingSupply.com. Don't poison your soil with municipal water. Attach a body, mind, and soil hose and filter. Free shipping exclusively through the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. Just click on the body, mind, and soil icon. Authentic Haven brand soil conditioner for the home gardener. Easy to brew, 100% organic. Visit ManureTea.com. Rain Reserve. Reserving your rain, preserving our future. Rain Reserve, manufacturing of rainwater capturing capabilities. Visit rainreserve.com and use coupon code RAIN2016 to save 10% on your total purchase. Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joey Baird. We're going to plant our cucumbers, our first crop this year, in our custom-made trellis here. Now, you can also grow cucumbers in a container by putting it next to a fence or creating a trellis behind it in order for it to grow. Now, cucumbers are heavy feeders. They require a good amount of organic material. So if you're going to grow in a container, I would recommend no smaller than a 5-gallon bucket or a 7 or 10-gallon grow bag minimal. Ideally, I would put them in a 15-gallon grow bag if you have the space and the availability to do such. So this trellis here, I've got two different types of trellises. I've got this one here that's on either end. I've got a string, I've got baling twine here, and I've made it to where, I'll bring this out here, we're going to plant our cucumbers right along the edge here. But essentially what I've done here is I've taken string. This is just regular agricultural baling twine. It's orange, maybe not the most appealing color to you, but it's a plastic, which means it's not going to biodegrade it's going to take many, many years for it to break down. So it's something good that one time here we're going to get, 8, 9, 10 years out of it. So I've tied it to a base there. It can be any type of board. This is just a limb. The other side is a railing for a staircase. We found it, we didn't buy it, they can be expensive. So what I did was I ran the string up, looped it around, and then ran it back down the other side to where it connects to the bracing on the other side. Really easy to do. Now, trellising can be any type of device that allows your plants to grow up. You can have a cattle panel, a hog panel, strings, any type. Now on the far end here, we've got a bracing here, and then I've made metal pegs that stick in the ground. Now this is not the most recommended way, because you got to find metal pegs. Here you can just use string and any type of wood that you want to tie the strings to. So we've got to build the soil. We've got to work the soil. I've worked the soil here. I've weeded the bed, and not just removed the top weeds of the bed. What I've done is I've went in with the garden fork and worked the bed, removing all the roots. The key here is removing the roots. Now we've got a grass that grows in our garden. Many people have all types of grasses, but this particular grass, some people call it a wire grass, we just call it a grass, and it has major roots underneath the soil. So if you're just ripping the top off of the plant, the roots are going to propagate and create more growth. And again, if you just rip it off and you decide to till, you're chopping up all those roots and you're distributing them among your growing bed. and all of those little roots, very small pieces, even a ½ inch, can create another weed. So that's the reason why you want to get in there and remove all the weeds. Yes, it's a very tiresome, very can be time-consuming based on the amount of weeds that you have. But in order to do it right, get the roots out, and then you're going to have minimal weeds to remove over the next years. We can take a look over at the potato bed here as an example. Went through here and worked this potato bed, had a massive amount of weeds, grasses, that type of very dense roots that propagate. And really, only thing we have here is just small little weeds that I can come in, pull out, nothing of any great magnitude. Take a little tool, loosen the soil up, and within probably 10 minutes I can have this bed weeded, when initially this bed took well over an hour to work all the soil, get all the roots out. But it's an investment of time in order to ensure you're loosening the soil up, as well as you're removing the roots and giving the plants a healthier start and a better chance at producing good crops for you and your family. So what we're doing here, I've moved back the structure here that the strings are on, and what I'm doing is I'm going to put down coffee grounds. Use coffee grounds, nothing special about it. Coffee grounds have about a 2% soil, or 2% nitrogen in it. I'm going to get my shovel here, and I'm just going to take a couple of shovelfuls and put above the growing area that the cucumbers will be planted in. No real science here, just get a nice little coating here. You can't really over fertilize with the coffee grounds, but I mean, if you put tonnage on, you can, but just a sprinkling, ½ inch. Then I'm going to put fertilizer on here, the recommended application rate from Sustain. This is an 8-4, 8% nitrogen. Cucumbers are an incredible heavy feeder. They need a lot of nitrogen to create those vines, and they also need potassium for the flowers, and the phosphates for the flower development, root development, and the potassium to make things a little sweeter. Sustain is a company out of Minnesota. The fertilizer is derived from chicken manure, or from turkey manure, and pine bedding, which means they're not spending lots of money, time, and digging up the earth to search for minerals that are buried in the earth. They're using timely manners to utilize materials that can be put into your garden. They're OMRI listed, so you're not hurting the environment by using a lot of fossil fuels. You're using stuff that's already readily available, and they're creating a granular fertilizer for it. Has no, it doesn't smell stinky or anything like that. So it's a very nice granule, and they add a little molasses to hold everything together. So we're just going to add the applicational rate for it. And it's a slow release fertilizer, and there is some readily available nutrients for the plants. Okay. Then on top of that, now we're kind of layering this in here. On top of that, we're going to put some certified leaf compost, just to kind of put a topping on it. And then we're going to work it all in very gently into our beds. Now, if you're working in a raised bed or a container that has already good enriched organic soil, you can add a little fertilizer, you can add a little coffee grounds. If you already started with a good base, then a lot of this is not necessary. So I'm just going to work this in with the fork just gently. I'm not burying it deeply. Just trying to get some of that in there, and the worms will come. The worms are here, but they'll come and work in that, work the compost and the coffee grounds. Okay, so there is some clods here, but I'm not too concerned by that because they will break down. So we're going to plant 3 different types of cucumbers. Now, based on what your intentions are, depends on what you're going to plant. If you want a lot of eating salad cucumbers, you want to plant a Marketmore, which is a very soft-skinned cucumber, and it gets long about 8, 9, 10 inches. If you want just a really unique unique cucumber, lemon cucumbers, they don't really work that good in canning. We have found they're more of a salad cucumber. They look like a lemon or a size of a tennis ball. They're yellow. You don't see them in the stores because they have a very short shelf life. Now, if you're wanting to grow pickle or cucumbers to pickle exclusively, a pickling cucumber, or we're going to plant a Boston pickling cucumber, and that is a cucumber that has been designated to be very good at creating pickles. So keep that in mind based on what your intentions are. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to set my strings up on the edge like this. Now I'm also going to go in and I'm planting on the inside near the string. It doesn't have to be dead on because the plant will find the structure and climb up. Now I've got several sections here and I'm just going to plant, I'm going to start with this section here and I'm just going to plant the pickling cucumbers. There we are. Now the way to plant the cucumbers, you can just make a trench here, little drill. You're wanting to go no more than a ½ inch deep to plant these because they are smaller seeds and you want them to have, you know, they don't need to be buried tremendously deep. All right, so we'll just put one, sometimes two seeds. These are fresh seeds, so these should germinate. And just plant them along the string here. And that's pretty much it. We'll cover them up. I'm going to get the rest of these planted, and then we'll come back and talk about a little maintenance that the cucumbers may require through the growing season. Got all of the cucumbers planted up to our trellis with the metal stakes. I've got a very small portion of lemon cucumbers because that's not something that, you know, we need a whole lot of. We used all of the pickling cucumbers that we had available, and then we finished in the rest with the market mores. Now the market mores, as I said earlier, not ideal for pickling, but they will work as a pickle cucumber if you catch them at the right size during harvest. Now this trellis here we left alone because we will put some pole beans on this trellis here and let them grow up, as well as we have pole beans in the back. So just so we have, I think with the cucumbers here, 70 plants, something like that. So we hope that we have an abundance of cucumbers. We always want to face the problem, what do I do with all this produce versus I wish I had something or a little bit more. So keep that in mind. When, you know, that's why we plant so heavily. We'd much rather have the problem of having too much than not enough for anything at all. So let's talk about maintenance of the cucumbers. Cucumbers are a vine crop which can be susceptible to powdery mildew because of cool nights, wet days, time that it doesn't allow the plant to dry out properly, the leaves, and you get that white film, that powder look on the leaves. Now, there's a number of different remedies that you can use. You can use chemical-based products to spray on the plant. You also can use home remedies, milk, water, combination spray on the plants. Now, clearly we're far too early to talk about, you know, to worry about that, but it's something we want to keep in mind. And if you already have your plants put in the ground, cucumbers, vine melons, pumpkins, winter squash, as we have in the straw bales over there, this is something that will be a challenge or a potential issue for you. So in the show notes below, there's a great article wrote by our good friend Joe Lampo from Growing a Greener World that he goes over some great home remedies that will help suppress or in some case eliminate the powdery mildew that you have on your plants. If you're fighting this, you want to be sure you apply the mixture on the front and the back of the leaves. What is occurring with powdery mildew is it's creating a barrier between the sun and the plant, and it's not allowing the plant to get the adequate sunlight that it requires to grow and produce the fruit. So that's something you want to keep in mind, why the problem is the problem. Also, you know, keeping the plant spaced. We also obviously have these very tight, but we'll keep an eye on them and keep that in mind. And if you have powdery mildew, you can remove some of the leaves that are infected. You want to discard them. You don't want to put them in your compost pile, as well as you want to keep your hands clean and not touch plant to plant plants that are not infected, because you can carry them spores to another plant, and within an overnight period that plant can get infected too. So growing cucumbers, if you haven't grown them already, you can put them in the ground container. You can also start a second crop and get them for later in the summer or early fall harvest. So in the garden you're going to have issues like we have in front of us. This is the Michelin cabbage. Now these are sensitive to heat, as you can see here. We've got other cabbages, got red cabbage, and we got Salvaria cabbage. Things are looking very well with those, but these have gone to seed. So you can do two things in this scenario, this situation, if it comes across in your garden. You can leave them, you can pull seeds from them. Typically these cabbages are biennial and they should seed the second year, but in a stress situation, and these are, as I said, sensitive to heat, they'll put a seed pod on the first year. So you can leave them, let them go to seed. Well, we're wanting to maximize all the square footage that we can in our garden. So in the cabbage patch here, these are not usable anymore. Now you might be able to use the leaves for wraps or whatever, but we're going to extract them out of our garden and we're going to place something in here that is going to produce, which is going to be eggplant. So just one of them things that happen. We're going to remove them. Got a decent root on them, so that's good that because we planted these in good compost we dug the hole out and backfilled with compost. So try to get all of that back out of there. Good roots. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and replace those plants with eggplants that I have started indoors. These are just Black Beauty, one of the traditional eggplants, and we're going to plant them very similar as you would tomatoes, but the only thing you want it to do differently than tomatoes is you don't need to plant these deep because they don't have any hair follicles. They're not going to produce they're not going to produce any roots up on the stem. You can put them about a ½ inch deeper than they are in the container because they're similar to peppers where right around the soil level they may produce a few more roots. So I want to work to loosen the hole up here. All right, so I'm bringing in some certified leaf compost here because I'm going to backfill the hole, work it in. So the hole was a little low on soil to begin with here. Okay, so now I'm going to make my hole and I'm going to add some fertilizer from Sustain. It's an all natural or OMRI listed plant food fertilizer. It's derived from chicken manure and pine bedding. It's a really nice granular fertilizer. And the nice thing about it, it's not mined. There's not fossil fuels that are involved in digging up the earth to find minerals down in the earth. It's pine bedding and turkey manure, and it's put together. And this is an 8-2-4, and they have a 4-6-4, and they have some other things that the company offers. So we're going to apply the right applicational rate here. Just mix it in a little bit, and like I said, we can just plant the eggplant just slightly deeper than what is in the container. Now these roots are slightly wrapped, little root bound, so we're just going to gently tease them out and we're just going to plant the eggplant. Now this has some immediate nitrogen that's available as well as it will feed the plant over the next 3 months. So I'm just going to plant the other one identical. Now with eggplants you could cage them like you would a tomato. Not necessary, and it's not necessary. They have a very stalky, thick stem that will keep them upright. Now if you're in a very windy, open area, staking them would not be a bad thing to do. So replacing plants that are going to seed that are not going to benefit you with plants that will benefit you throughout the growing season to maximize your growing space in your garden. So we are in the front yard garden of the large garden in front of our newly constructed raised bed here. Now this is 14.5 square feet. We're using the embraces from artofthegarden.net to construct it. It's a no fastener, no tools needed put together of a raised bed. If you want to see how we constructed this raised bed, you can check the show notes below on that episode. So what we have here is we got 14.5 square feet, and we're going to utilize this for our summer squash. Now the sun comes up over that direction. It gets a little shade from the big tree above the main garden, and then during the peak hours of the afternoon, this gets full sun. So, and as the sun sets, it will start shading about 2 hours, 3 hours before it gets dark. So what we're going to do here is we're going to plant 5 summer squash zucchini plants here. 1 on each corner and then 1 in the center. So what we've got here is we're going to plant some Black Beauty zucchini. We're just going to pick this side. Now we've got milkweed amongst the yard here, and that helps bring in the monarch butterflies, and we will leave this for them and work around that. So that's what these plants here are. These are the beginning stages of the milkweed plant. So when planting summer squash here, we've got this bed filled with certified leaf compost, so we're in good shape there. When filling a raised bed or a container, you can see here we've got it painted because that's what the homeowner wanted here, and then the inside it was fine to be left alone. Now you can treat this with any type of stain treater or water prevention methods you want, but you see that we've left about an inch from soil level to the top of the bed. Just like in containers, raised beds are the same. We don't want to fill them level full because when it rains, it will cascade the soil out of the bed. You want to have we want to keep the water in the bed and not be flushed out because it's level grade. So when we're planting summer squash here, typically you would do it in a mound method in the garden. Well, we don't need to do a mound method because we've got soil, good and rich soil, good draining soil in this bed. So all we're going to do is I'm just going to X here where we're going to plant these, and they're going to get very, very large, and this thing will be just one giant jungle of zucchini squash here. So we're just going to start with the black zucchini. Now, as in traditional ground garden, I am going to put, this here will be my plants. I'm going to put about 4 seeds, and then I will wean them back to 1, maybe 2, based on how things look. But you want to go about a ½ inch deep. So I'll do 4 seeds there, ½ inch deep. And then I'll leave, I'm not going to cover them up until I get everything planted with this, so I know where our spacing is at. I'm going to do black zucchini on this corner here, working around the milkweed. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And this will be the same for any type of squash. Now, this raised bed is what we're using for summer squash. You could use this bed for any type of squash or any type of vegetable that you choose to use, and raised beds can be any shape, size, but it would be recommended that you won't go any wider than 4 foot because you can't exceed, you can't reach the center from each side if you go 5, 6, 7 foot wide. So keep that in mind. So we'll get the rest of the squash planted. Now, when this squash emerges and we have more dry grass clippings, I will mulch this bed very, very thickly with dry grass clippings. You use shredded paper, you could use straw, you could use shredded leaves. With the grass clippings, you want to make sure they're chemical free and they're seed free. There's not seeds that are going to drop into your raised bed. And make sure they're dry because wet grass clippings can introduce different fungicides and diseases to your plants. And that'll also help retain moisture and prevent splash up of the soil into the leaves, which can cause problems with your squash plants. So we'll mulch it heavy because this won't be hooked up to our irrigation system when we get that installed into the main garden. So making a raised bed, very easy. Planting summer squash, very easy. You could also do this in a very large container, 15 or a 20-gallon container. A grow bag would be ideal for this. So get your summer squash in. This will mature about 60 to 70 days, and then we'll also plant more later on after the potatoes come out of the garden in order to ensure we get squash all the way up to first frost.